Good morning to all of you. So, as there are few gaps in the classes because of the reason you people already know that has already circulated in the groups. The reason that some academic and administration work purpose, the classes are suspended for 2 days. Now we are back again, and today we are going to have a discuss on the topic of Linux. So last we remember we have discussed on the topic of the file and directories. We have a discussion on that, and with connection of that in a previous classes, we have also discussed on the topic of process, right? We have also talk and discuss have the with the process, and while talking about this process, the last time we have discussed about the process till up to that process of zombie process, means before the starting of what is the parent child, how what is parent child process, what is the relation, how are the things, right? So today we are going to continue with the topic of process. This process, so what is the process? Any task that is running in the backend, that is known as a process, right? Just a minute. Process, so means the thing we know what is the process, any instance that is running or any program or any work that is running in the system, that is known as a part of the process, right? And this process have an environmental list, the process identifier, then process code. These are the process structures there. We have talked about those particular topics in the previous, this process environment, how it looks like, what is the command for process, ps, and all the ps id, pid. Every process have a particular process id. How does the kernel support for the process, what is the role of the kernel in the part of the process that is responsible for scheduling, running for user, and the processes responsible for allocating memory. So we have a talk or discussion on this particular topic. Now today we are going to continue with the topic, and the thing is we have a topic that is called zombie process. I have just given you a hint in the last classes. I know that is zombie process. What is a zombie process? Zombie process. So this zombie process, if we talk about that, we have a concept of parent process and a child process. So when a new process gets started, we call it a child process. So these processes, parent and child process, have a connection between each other. When a child process gets terminated, when a child process gets terminated, while its parent process is survived, when the child process gets terminated, while the parent process are still in the survive mode, until the parent in turn, either the parent process gets turned out normally or by some wait call, right? So the parent process and the child process, we know, just a minute. So concept is that parent process with association with the child process, right? Now this parent process and the child process, while it is working with in a association work with association with each other, in a scenario, if this child process, in a scenario, if this child process gets eliminated or terminated before the parent process, before the parent process, while the parent process are still in the survive mode, right? So that process, that child process, the elimination or the termination of the child process is known as the zombie process, is known as zombie process. So what happened here? This child process gets terminated. This child process gets terminated, and while the parent process are still in a survive mode, the parent process still in a survive mode. This process, this particular parent is surviving while the child is already getting terminated. This is known as the process of zombie process. This concept is known as zombie process, right? So this zombie processes, by using the process either can be terminated uh, by forcefully, and while the parent process in a later on it can be stopped either in a normal way or by using some wait function or wait call anything, right? This fork, there is a function we have seen that previously, that fork is used to create a particular message or create a particular process. So fork is used to create a particular processes. So by using some fork command or fork system call, we can actually create a process, and also for that calling any process programs before that, right? Also, this process is another system call we can use to wait for the child processes, that is called wait PID, wait process ID. So this wait is also in association with the child process to create and associate it with the parent process. So wait PID also used with for the processing continuous of the child processes. So for we can use for creating a process, and wait PID to wait for the process ID from the parent process for the child processes, right? So this PID for the child process, there is different child PID also. Child PID we can consider it as a variable. So this return having a value. This child PID will return a value if the child PID process does not stop or shut down forcefully. If it is still working, then child PID will have some values that will return. So we can know that that the child process is still running. The child process is still in the processing. Right. Now there is one more process that is known as orphan process. So what is in general, what is an orphan? What do you understand by an orphan? Can anyone tell me what is an orphan? Forget about Linux, C, forget about any technical things. What an orphan mean in general? Anyone? What an orphan mean in general?
सर
अनाथ.
जिसका पेरेंट्स नहीं
means
है.
not any parent process.
Parent. Okay. So a child that don't have any parent, right? So the concept is similar here also in the part of the Linux, that we have two process, right? First one is a parent process, and second one is the child process. Now, what happened in zombie, that the child gets terminated first and parent survives, right? Now, what happened in orphan processes, the parent terminates before the child. In orphan, what happened? This parent process terminated before the child process. Parent process terminated before the child process. So while the child is in still survive mode, the child is in survive mode, but the parent process gets terminated before the child. So that's what this process, this child process is known as the orphan process. There, the child process is known as the orphan process. So what happens if a parent process dies before the child process? So in that case, the child now becomes an orphan process, but it should have a parent process because every child needs to have a parent process. So in that scenario, the kernel actually works here. The kernel actually comes into the scenario and actually gives a permission to any other parent process to support that child process. In general, the init process by default, if any orphan process, for any orphan process, the kernel support process that is supporting the child process is known as the init process. It is known as the init process. So in this scenario, the orphan process, the parent process gets terminated before the child process, and that's where the child process becomes an orphan process. The child process in that scenario become an orphan processes, right? So these are the two types of processes: a zombie process and an orphan process. We can talk about why and these two terms, this zombie and orphan process, these two terms are very important. Important in what scenario? That for the campusing interview, because oftenly, means in very general, this two questions asked by the recruiter, that what do you understand by an orphan process, or what do you understand by a zombie process, right? So it is very general question that comes into the interview, that comes into the campus statement, also that comes maybe in your external viva exam, right? Now, why these processes are working on, the process needs to manage, and that manage the process is known as the term of process management. The term that is used here, process management, it is the part of the process, manage all the processes. How we can manage those processes, the process management, how it can be done to manage those processes, the process management. For that, we have some system called interface. Means there are some system calls that is actually working for the help of process management, for the help of this process management. So this process management, the part of the in the part of this process management, the system calls that is actually taking part. There are several type of system calls are there. We have a process ID in general, right? So PID is the term, it's a basic term, the process ID. So why we can say that a PID, process ID, it will be in general whenever a process will be there, right? So no issue on that. It is by default will be there for the process management. Apart from this process ID, apart from this PID, there are some others identifiers. There are also present some others identifiers for this process management. What are these identifiers? We will look one by one. First one, PID T get PID. PID T get PID. This is a system call process. So we can understand by the term of this function, a system call function process. So this PID underscore T underscore get PID, what the value will be returned by this system call process, because it is a system call, so it will return a value. What value it will be returned? The process ID of the calling process. The process ID of the calling process. So in general, we may not know the process ID, right? Because process ID, when a process is getting created, we can have the process ID. But to know the process ID, this PID underscore T underscore get PID, we can get the process ID of the calling process or of the running process. Process ID of the calling process, or we can say running process, right? So PID underscore T underscore get PID. This is a system call that can help us for the process ID of the running process or for the calling process. Next one, get PPID. What is PPID? What the term mentioned as PPID? Anyone? What is the PPID? What is PPID? In general, we have talked always in our previous classes that what is parent process ID. So by this system call, what value we can return, what value we can get, that we can have the parent process ID of the calling process or the running process. So that's the difference, that for PID we will get the process ID, and with the help of this get PPID we can have the parent process ID of the calling process or the running process, right? Then next we can have a get UID. Then we can have a get UID. So get UID used for the okay. So then we have get UID. Okay, so this get UID, we can get the real user ID of the calling process. Means the process that is working, it is working from which user, from the where, who is the user, or from where this user ID we can get. This is the get UID, to get the user ID of the calling process, to get the user ID of the calling process, right? Then we have UID for the get GID, we can say get UID. So one by one we can write. So UID underscore slash t underscore t, then underscore get EUID. That is for the effective user for the calling process. Then for we have get GID for the group ID processes, group user. So these are the additional identifiers we can talk about that is help to manage the process in the part of process management. Apart from this PID, these are the system calls that is helping for the process management part, that is helping for the process management part, right? Now, how to create a process, or what is the system call, what is the function we can actually use to create a process? I already told the term, that is we can use a for. We can use a for function to create a process, how we can do that? We need to know what is the syntax or how we can use it, how, what is the background code we are writing for the process. We are writing some of the for command, but what is the background scenario, what is the coding that was associated with that for process, right? So let's see. First let me delete the whole thing. Fine. So this fork is helping us to create a new process, right? So existing process called, there is a process that existed before and we want to create a new process. Suppose that process is a child process, right? So we want to create a new child processes, and to create that new child process, the existing process that were previously there will be used, or using this for function, using this for function to create a new process. How we can write that, right? So first let me write the C syntax or the programming syntax for that. Okay, suppose hash include sys types dot h. Okay, then okay, fine, then we can write the PID. Okay, for the PID underscore t, then underscore fork. Okay, or then this can be a function, this is a function. Okay, and then suppose this is a simple syntax. Okay, the process ID underscore t underscore fork. So fork is a function that is helping us to create a new process. If we means when the fork command is actually initialized or actually executed, what happens if the fork command is running successfully? If the fork command is running successfully, then there will be an output, or in a return part, the value will be returned as 0. The value will be returned as 0. So means this 0, if the value is returned as 0, it is indicating that the process is created successfully. That 0 is my child, the process, and ID for the child of the parent. So the child is created and the child process have already acquired or already associated with the parent process with its parent process ID. So association have done with the child process and the parent process with the help of this parent process ID, parent child process ID, right? So 0, it will be returned if the fork command is executed successfully. Otherwise, if it is not run successfully, then what value it will return? The value it will return as a -1. So this -1 will be mentioning that there is an error. So the process does not create, or process is not created successfully. So if by using this fork command, the 0, that is my child process that is created successfully, it will indicating, or it will return a message of 0. But if it is not, then if it is there is error, then 1 will -1 will be returned for the value, right? Now this new process created by the fork is known as child process. So the fork command, fork function we can use to create a new child process. And this fork function under the process we can call once to create a new child process, right? So when this child process is getting created, while the value, it can be, if it is created successfully, it will be 0, and it is not, then -1, no issue. When the value if we getting a 0, means it is created successfully. So the child process will acquire the parent process ID, means the parent process or the child process connection will be created with the help of the ID. So the value it will return, if the value is returning is 0, then also after that 0 means it is indicating the process is created successfully, and the value with respect to that also it will return the parent process ID, the value in the parent for the process ID for the new child. So this child process ID will be associated with the parent process. So the child process ID is returned to the parent process because the parent process ID is acquired by the child. So the same will be acquired by the parent. So the parent process will also have the ID of the child process, because that parent process, why this child process ID also needs to association with the parent process. A child process can only have one parent, right? A child process can only have one parent, but a parent process can more than one child process. So the task is very difficult for the parent process, whereas the child process, it is a very easier part because it will only associate only one parent, but the parent has to look out so many child maybe. So in that case, if the child table process or child process ID is not associated in the table of parent process, then it will be very tough to manage. So the child process ID is also need to be associated in the parent process, so that there will be no function that allows the process to obtain another process IDs for the children. So suppose this child process needs some particular task or needs some particular files directories, so that there will be no hectic, no scenario like that where it cannot have that particular part. So the parent process will manage the work of the child processes, and how to do that, the child process ID. So the child process ID is important, that needs to associate it with the parent process. Now this both the child and the parent will continue the executing of the instruction, whatever the instruction that needs to be passed on or that needs to be executed. So this child, we can say this is a copy of the parent process. So the child, when the child process is created, when a particular child process is created, so we can say that this child process gets a copy or gets all the data space, the stack, the data, all the things is associated, or most of the things, we can say not all the things, it is better that we use most of the things is associated with child process from the parent process. So we can say the child process is almost the copy of a parent process, right? Now, this fork, there are two type of users for this fork process. There are two type of users, or we can say that by the fork process, we can continue, we can actually do two types of work. What are the two types of work? Okay. What are the two processes? First one. So if I'm talking about one by one, so first one is that when a process, or we can say process, wants to duplicate itself so that the parent and the child each can actually execute different section of a code at the same time. So we can say the parent process and the child process. The child process is totally the copy of the parent process, because if the child process is not totally the copy of the parent process, then they cannot execute the section of a same code, because there will be issue. So the parent process, we can say the parent and child can execute the different sections of code at a same time, so that what happened, the process is duplicate itself. So on a process wants to duplicate itself so that the parent and child can execute different sections of code at the same time. This can be done. This is a one part. Actually, this is very common for the network servers. We have a particular, for each and every company, for each and every organization, there is a network server, and whatever the things that goes on, it is through the network server. So this network server is a very basic example for this type of process, where the child and the parent can execute the different section of a single code at the same time. So what happened there in the network server process? If I am taking the example of network server process, the parent waits for the service request from the client. So we can consider that network server is the parent and client is actually requesting something. So the request will be come from the client side. So now when the request will be arrived, or when the parent is getting the request from the client, the parent creates the fork. The parent creates a fork process or creates the fork function and creates a child process to handle that particular request, and the parent also stays there. So if any more new request is coming, to check that or to handle that, right? So this is a particular process where a parent can create a child process using a fork to handle the request or to do the same work. That work can be done by the parent process. So we can say that, that the parent process can do. So why we need to create a child process to do that? Why when the parent process can do that? Because it is giving us the flexibility, it is saving us the time. So suppose if there is 2 or 3 more requests coming from different clients at the same time, so we need to execute all the commands or all the process, right? So it is very time effective. So the parent process is creating for a child process to handle that is similar to them, right? That can be easily handled by the child process that is creating a child process for that, and the parent process is working on any other section of that particular request or any other new request also. So this is a particular process, or this is a particular type or user for a fork process, right? So when a process wants to execute a defined program, or actually it is for shell programming, we can talk about in that particular scenario. This case can be happen. The parent is getting a child to handle the request coming from the client, right? So this is the thing that can be known as the vfork function, a term that is here that can be used, vfork function. So this vfork function we can talk about has the same calling sequence, has the same calling sequence and returns the value and share return values as fork. So this vfork is actually have the same particular process or same calling sequence we can talk about. So this vfork or the semantics of these two functions are little bit different. Where fork and the vfork, it is a little bit different. But if we talk about the thing, this vfork is intended to create a new process when the purpose of the new process is to execute a new program. So vfork is helping us to create, or it is intending us to create a new process. So intending is to create a new process, just like the fork. So vfork is similar or same calling sequence, just like the fork, but is the purpose of the new process to execute a new program, fully copying the address space of the parent into the child. So it is the semantic section of the fork, or what are the particular process of the fork. So vfork is actually executing for the new process, copying all the address space of the parent into the child. And since the child is not referring or having any reference of the address space, the child just calls execute after, right after the vfork. So the vfork is created. Vfork is helping to create the process, create a new particular process, and copying all the address space, all the memories into the child process. And now child is working, and but child does not have any reference address space. So the child will call then the execute right after the vfork. So the child is running until it either calls or execute or an exit command. So the child will itself, after the execution of the process, after the successful execution of the process, it will call for the exit and the or the execute command. So the child runs in the address space of the parent. So child is having the all the things, while the execution process, it will call the execute so that it can execute in the address space of the parent, and then after that it can exit. So this is that the function vfork guarantees that the child runs first until the parent resumes. So the parent have given the task to the child to handle. So the child will execute, child will handle the request, but the later part, the things will be on the parent process side. The memory of that, all the things will be in the parent process side, right? Then there is an exit function. After vfork function, there is another function that is called exit function. This exit function actually basically to terminate a process. In general, there are two types. There is a normally termination process and there is an abnormal termination process we can talk about. So the normal termination process, if we say that executing a return from the main function by calling the exit, right? So for normal termination, we can write, wait. So this exit have two parts. One is normal termination and another one is we can say abnormal termination. So what are the parts in normal termination, right? The normal termination is saying that the executing a return from the main function, means equivalent to calling an exit function. So we can actually call an exit function here. So it will be a normal termination. Second one, the process is calling for more, the process itself the calling for the exit function. First one, that is executing a return from the main function. It is just equivalent to calling exit, but it is not actually calling the exit function. So for I would write that it is equivalent to calling the exit function. The part is almost equivalent to calling the exit function, and second one is directly by calling the exit function. This is the termination is doing normally. This is for the normal process or normally termination process. Second one is abnormal termination. That is for calling abort, means where the process is running but due to some reason it needs to shut down at that particular time. It needs to abort the process. So that's why we can say the calling abort. First one. Okay. And second one we can talk about here. That is just a minute. That is that process receives a particular signal, means an interrupting type signal, so that the signal can be generated by the process itself. So the process receives a certain type of interruption signal. So that for that the it needs to be abort, it needs to be stopped abnormally, right? So the normal termination, that is equivalent to an exit process or an exit process is going on, while for the abnormal termination it is for a calling abort or an interruption is happening there. So now whatever the options, whatever the situations how the process is actually getting terminated, the kernel is actually managed to all the things. The kernel is the main responsible to handle all the things. The code will be executed same. The kernel could process all the description for the process and release the memory that it was using. So the processes that are using the memory, it is going to release, it is going to be terminated but from the kernel side. So the normal execution or the abnormal execution, whatever the thing is happening to stop a particular process, the kernel is actually doing what? It is actually taking the permission or whatever the access have given for the memory, it is taking that so that it cannot process further, it cannot do the execution process further. So this termination processing will be able to notify that parents that how it's terminated. So the child process or a process is getting terminated in which way, that information needs to be stored into the parent process, because the parent table will have all the details for a particular child process. So the parent process will look or will have an entry that how that particular child process is getting terminated, whether by a normal situation or whether any abnormal, what is the exit status of that particular child process. All the things, all the information related to that will be stored into the parent process table, will be stored into the parent process table, right? And these things or to parent, the parent will get this information, how the parent can have all the details, all the information. We will talk about that in our next classes, that we will talk about wait and wait PID functions, the how we can use that, what is the role of these wait and wait PID functions into the processes, because starting it as a new topic will not let us will not permit the time to finish it. So I will continue up to this particular part, the processes of the termination, that normal and abnormal termination. This particular part up to we are going to talk and we are going to discuss, right? So this is all for today's class, and I hope all of you have written your names in the chat box for the attendance purpose. So if anyone have misses it, kindly write it in the chat box so that you don't miss out your attendance. And one thing I have seen that BS ma'am have earlier today in the morning have sent a message for all of you. I don't know what is the reason, or maybe some questions were asked by the madam, but you are not able to understand or you will not able to tell the answer. But whatever the ma'am said, it is very important thing. Do study for yourself because your parents are counting on you. So at the end, it is very important that you will have a job security or you will in a scenario where you can look after your family. Fine. So don't waste your time in any other thing that is not actually helping you to grow your career or to grow yourself. So do those type of things, focus on those things that will help you to grow, help you to get success in your upcoming future. Okay. So this is all for today. The time is going to end. Thank you all for joining into the session, and we will meet in our next class by continuing from this particular part. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.